And on the heels of a new curfew for unaccompanied minors in Huntersville, Birkdale Village, multiple incidents involving teens at other popular locations took place over the weekend. WBTV's Dalfred Jones is looking into what happened. He joins us now live. So, Dalfred, what exactly happened, and is there a solution to any of this?
Well, Siobhan, we reported about that 6 p.m. curfew over in Birkdale Village and learned it was basically put into place to enhance the safety measures. But according to email into the WBTV newsroom, some say the over-policing is an issue, while others would like to see a more coordinated approach from city leaders when it comes to teenagers and public safety. What you're seeing is video captured by one of our viewers showing the large crowd of teenagers at Camp North End. We've blurred the video because most of the people seen appear to be teens. One of the young ladies tells the person recording why their group has showed up. Camp North End resident Christian Wheeler says when he stepped outside Saturday night, he saw hundreds of what appeared to be high school students.
I feel like the residents of Camp North End kind of know what they signed up for. It is a main attraction of Charlotte.
In that same breath, Wheeler says, yes, our youth need somewhere to enjoy themselves, but he would like to see a plan of action so confrontations don't escalate like what we saw on Saturday night.
Hopefully Camp North End and kinship resident or property management could come up with a plan to, kind of just let the kids, as long as they stop gesture maxing as much, kind of find a place to, where they could be preferred.
Amid the new Birkdale curfew, other large groups of teens landed at Frankie's in Huntersville. The business features an arcade, mini golf, and other amusement park features. However, the park does state minors must always be with an adult, but after 10, it's adults only.
I really recognize this as one, yes, can absolve the behavior or excuse it, and at the same time thinking about where our youth really have to go to decompress.
Nasir Grayman is a local therapist who works with teenagers. He told us with these curfews in place, agency and autonomy is limited among our young people, but it's also the direct result of teens using that privilege irresponsibly.
Unfortunately, I think the curfews are a product or their consequences of actions, and at the same time, do they necessarily have to be permanent?
Now, Mr. Grayman also raised a good point to me. He said, is there some type of opportunity for these teenagers to reverse the situation, basically redeem themselves and get that curfew lifted? He also said another option could be age restrictions so that the good don't have to suffer for those who aren't following the rules. Tonight, we're live in Charlotte. Dalfred Jones, WBTV, on your side.